Would you like me to start?
No.
Or...
All right, hello everybody, and welcome. This is IGTV, and with us on the line is Valine Skarpek from iBiometrics. And hi, Valine, how are you?
Very good. How are you, Joe?
Not bad, not bad. We're doing very well here. We've got another session today on biometrics, and we're going to be discussing why biometrics in the cloud makes sense and maybe why it doesn't. Should be an interesting session with you. We certainly hope it is. You know, and some of the things that some of our members may be asking is, you know, they heard there were duplicate efforts to collect biometric data, and for a number of different applications, like in places like India. Is it true, and does that affect the anticipated benefits of the program? Well, we're going to get more into that with Valine in just 1 second. And Valine, why don't you take it away? Should be an interesting segment.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, well, why does biometrics make sense in the cloud? That may sound odd to some folks because we know in order to perform biometrics with integrity, it's important to, at a minimum, make sure that we manage the whole process with trustworthiness. You know, after all, from an architectural and services standpoint, aren't we all working towards this? For example, the industry trusted cloud initiative led by the Cloud Security Alliance. This is something we're really working hard to work towards. But are we there yet? I think this is part of the questions people have in their minds when they think about doing something like biometrics in the cloud.
Go ahead, Valine.
All right, sorry.
Well, no, it's okay. I mean, you know, there's a lot to be said about biometrics, but there's also a lot, you know, that you can reference, you know, to putting things up in the cloud, quite frankly. I mean, you know, there's a lot of different perspectives on that, and some people that are ready for the cloud or think that they're ready for the cloud don't really enjoy the full breadth of knowledge of what that means from the security and risk management perspective. So why don't you get into it a little bit?
Sure. Well, I'm going to talk about two reasons why I think biometrics in the cloud does make sense. One is big data, and the other is wider access. A March 2012 Tech World article talks about big data becoming a serious issue in 2012, and that many IT organizations across the public and the private sectors will need to come to grips with this. So the challenge is, everyone's asking, how do we store massive amounts of data generated by end users and make it useful? Well, large biometric deployments have the same issue. For example, in the past several years, the amount of biometric data records, often fingerprints, but also irises and facial images, has expanded tremendously in the United States. Agencies are required to use the latest ID and verification technologies. So it's expected that there'll be hundreds of millions of identities, petabytes of biometric data in the FBI, the State Department, Homeland, Department of Defense, that need to be accessed real time. Well, one idea started in 2011, for example, and I have this information posted on my blog at iBiometrics, and references to these articles I'm going to refer to here is an idea by Booz Allen Hamilton, where they came up with the concept of using the cloud to drive up performance of the large databases of biometrics data. But this is just one of many ideas of using the intelligence of big data and more processing power in the cloud. And there are many. So that's a real advantage and a trend that we're going to continue to see. Secondly, biometrics in the cloud can also provide wider access to biometrics. In fact, in the area of voice biometrics, common configuration is to use the voice channel as input, collect the audio data via speech application, and securely send the audio and access voice biometric engines via secure SOAP messaging. Well, many organizations for years have used hosted voice systems that are now referred to as cloud. The cloud configuration, be it internal or external, actually lends itself to voice biometrics, allowing organizations to engage with qualified hosting centers. They get the benefits of the multiple channels. They get the benefits of being able to try and utilize the technology without the overhead of trying to do it themselves. So here's another benefit of the cloud. And we certainly see identity management providers moving towards the cloud. The CSA, Trustworthy Cloud Initiative I mentioned, that includes identity management. So identity management providers are looking to do things like federated identity through the cloud with strong authentication. And these schemes are recently already have been developed that allow organizations to either maintain the credentials, which include the biometric models, in the cloud or behind their own firewall. Another way, which is really kind of amazing, is the way the cloud is enabling the wider use of biometrics in emerging and third world countries. This is a very different model than the U.S. Model. And again, I have some references to what I'm talking about on my blog. So as an example, the recent NPR article talks about the India implementation you were talking about, Joe.
Yep.
And this is their national ID project. Where a lot of the citizens there, particularly the poor, don't have any ID at all. And it makes them very hard to fully engage in their society, which is rapidly modernizing. So they launched this biometric project in 2010, which tries to fix the problem and give each person, citizen there, a biometric ID. And so they ramped up with iris scanners and touch pads to record people's fingerprints. So thousands of workers. And this is all a voluntary program and has been really very, a lot of folks have wanted to do it there. They feel it gives them a good sense of security if they're stopped, and it lets them make use of their social programs. So at one point they were doing as much as enrolling as much as 1 million people a day.
Wow.
And, yeah. So they're set to exceed now their 200 million target. So wow, as you said, yeah. So, when it came up for budget review, as you said, they had to really look at that and say, well, why are we doing this at duplicate efforts? And that's also going to make things more difficult in other ways as well. So they were able to come up with agreements to, share that data, which is good for them. So they're continuing on at this point. And so, for example, it lets them through the cloud connect the farmer in the rural India with the domestic worker in Mumbai, why should they go to paper documents? Because they're going right to the biometrics. Turkcell, very interesting there. That's a cellular company. And so there's a lot of the cellular networks in emerging countries. So they really kind of, again, differ from the U.S. in that they're really working a lot off these cellular networks versus off more the data channel, the way we're moving quickly towards in the U.S. So voice is really quite a popular option because that's the channel they have there. And they already have 4 million voice biometric users going through their global BILG. And that's a CRM center, again, this is a hosted center, that handles over 700 million customer contacts annually for a variety of companies that include Turkcell. So voice biometrics has really improved their customer service and certainly decreased overhead because they now do an authentication in 5 seconds versus 25 seconds for customers or 45 seconds for corporate subscribers.
Well, Valine, we are just about up on our time here. Do we want? I've got the house music came up as well. Do we can take this into another segment? What do you think?
Well, we can. I mean, the second part of this is why biometrics in the cloud might not make sense.
Okay,
but
I'll be back with Valine.
I don't want to separate it without, you know,
I got you.
Find all the good stuff we've talked about.
I got you. We'll be right back after this commercial with Valine Scarpack.